And now, here is your pandemic news report.
Welcome, everybody, to the Pandemic News Report. And today we're going to talk about your cell phone's dirty secret and why do they leave it up to you to find that dirty secret? All right. Why do they being the phone manufacturers, the people that sell, that you buy the phones from, the companies you go to, the stores you go buy the phones from, they are not told to at least inform you, being the customer, of what's going on with your phone. But we're gonna put y'all in on some game, if you will, and tell you and show you where you can find this information. Now, before we get started, we all been hearing for years about the cell phones and how they have certain frequencies and it can damage your brain. And if you put the phone to your ear, it can leave little radiation marks inside of your head. And there's been people, very small amount you might have heard about over the years since cell phones were being available for the general public, that some people may have got certain type of x-rays or brain scans to find out if this is true. And then just you hear probably very little of it, that some people had certain little markings on their head, and it turns out that's where they was putting the phone to their ear to speak to people, maybe suggesting that radiation is coming through. And then some people are having certain issues, maybe with their body, maybe with the nerves and stuff, saying that it might have been the radiation from these phones affecting the brain and affecting other things from that nervous system, and etc. So we're going to take it in real time, show you how to access the information, and we want to read some things to you so you are aware, and maybe break some things down so that you would know what's going on with your phone. And a lot of times, a lot of us buy these phones and we don't even think about going in the settings and looking in some things. You just want to have the phone because you got things you got to do, things you want to do, apps you want to put on your phone, you want to go live, people talk on their phones, but never really think about, let me dig deeper and look in some other thing. Let's find out some information. So that's what we're going to do today. All right. And so the start off is always going to be from your settings, but it starts to differ when you try to find the legal information regarding RF frequencies and talk about radiation in your phone. And it's always interesting how no one from these companies, whether it's Samsungs, the iPhones, the Microsofts, so on and so forth, different phone company names, they never bother to put a video out. They don't tell the people that maybe you're going to buy the phones from, hey, just remind folks to be careful about putting the phone to your ear. And some people are doing it because over the years, this type of thing has been talked about. So some people do it, some people don't. All right. But we're going to get into it today and show you how to find this information. Some of it might differ depending on what company you got, your phone is from. If you have a Samsung or iPhone or whatever other companies out there, you might get to it a little bit differently, but they all start from going to the settings. All right. So we're going to go to the settings real quick. All right. And when we go to settings, you want to look for generally the legal information. All right. So again, we're going to repeat that on some of your phones, you might have to find it other places. Sometimes you can just hit the little search. What do you call that thing? The search mirror up top, and maybe type in legal information and it might pop up for you. But at the very bottom of the screen, you guys see is where it says about phone. You have status, legal information, phone name. So real quick, we're going to hit that about phone, but we're going to take this off the screen just a second so you don't see certain pieces of information. All right. So just give us a second here, and we're going to go ahead and pull that up. And just block some of certain information. Well, I'm tell you what, I'm going to explain a little bit of it because there are things on the screen you guys do not need to see on this phone. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through it. So when you hit the about, right, let me put that back on the screen here. When you guys see about phone or anything where you see the words legal information, you want to click that. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And let me just take it off the screen real quick. And what should pop up to some of you guys' phone is a list. Now, for this phone here, it says status information, legal information, software information, battery information. So, for these purposes, we're going to click on legal information, and we're doing that now. And we'll go ahead and show that on the screen here. So, after we hit legal information, right, you have a list of choices here. Okay. So real quick, there's a list of choices, and we're going to go ahead and hit Samsung Legal. Okay, you guys see that on the screen. And what pops up now is a list of things. It says dispute resolution agreement, standard limited warranty, end user license agreement, health and safety information, device and care, including HAC information, and lastly, standard limited warranty for repair parts. For these purposes, we're going to hit health and safety information. All right. And it's going to ask you what language. Of course, we're going to do it in English. And we're going to go ahead and bring some things to your attention. Okay. We're going to read maybe this first paragraph and then look down a little bit. Radio frequency signals. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has published information for consumers relating to radio frequency exposure from mobile devices. Okay, radio frequency exposure. You're getting exposed to the radio frequencies of your phone from mobile devices. The public is exposed to, and our bodies absorb wide varieties of naturally occurring and human made radiation, including from mobile devices. For up to date information, please see FDA radiation emitting products at fda.gov. Okay. So before we go on, let's touch a little bit on what it's saying. They're saying that, humans are exposed to, in our bodies, absorb wide varieties of, they put naturally occurring. Okay. I would love for someone to explain in layman's terms and detail what is naturally occurring in human made radiation. Okay, human made, we can understand that maybe humans kind of help form some things, people that work around radiation type products and things like that. Maybe they have, they can form some stuff, but then there's naturally occurring. Is it naturally occurring, or has it occurred due to putting certain things together, and then now whatever it is you put together is now starting to emit these things? But if you didn't put it together at all, we wouldn't be exposed to it. Maybe it's the towers and other things now that emit radiation that maybe wasn't here 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, but now they built these things, so but they want to call it naturally occurring. Okay, we would love to have somebody come on and speak about that. So we'll go down a little bit further. Mobile devices communicate by receiving and transmitting radio waves, which carry digitized voice and data. The radio waves, or RF, are forms of radiation, which are generally viewed as harmless to humans. Now, they say it's generally viewed as harmless to humans. See, they fix the wording in such a way that they don't have to be direct, because then they can be penalized if something happens to you. So they have put it in words that If someone were to have a lawsuit and take a lawsuit on one of these phone companies, they'll already come out and say, well, we told y'all this. And it generally viewed these radio waves or RF radio frequencies are forms of radiation, which are generally viewed as harmless to humans. Generally, not 100%, but just generally. So some of y'all might generally get some bad effect from it, and some of you generally may not. But that's some wording in there to kind of keep them out of big lawsuits. All right. Should this become a real widespread problem? All right. And then the fact that they can say they put it in there, but they never bother to tell you how to find it so you can read it on your own. You always have to find these things out on your own. RF energy is a type of non ionizing radiation. Other types of non ionizing radiation include visible light, Bluetooth. So they're telling you these things. Wi Fi. Everybody has Wi Fi. People use Bluetooth headphones. Television broadcast signals, infrared radiation, heat, and other forms of electromagnetic radiation with relatively low frequencies. Again, notice the words relatively with the ends in ly, and then we read up earlier where it says generally viewed as harmless to humans. Generally ends in ly. When you read certain things, pay attention to words that end in ly in the context of what you're reading, because words that have end in ly could be viewed as deceptive on one end, and then it could be viewed as non-deceptive on another end. Okay, so pay attention to those ly words. Okay, this low levels of RF energy a mobile device transmits and receives are in the microwave frequency range. Exposure to low level RF energy does not produce heating effects and is not known, but maybe they're keeping the information hidden so you don't know it, to have adverse health effects. It's not known to have adverse health effects. By contrast, ionizing radiation, which includes high energy electromagnetic waves such as X rays and gamma rays, heats tissue and may be harmful. Again, by contrast, ionizing radiation, which includes high energy electromagnetic waves such as X rays and gamma rays, heats tissue, the tissue in your body. You know what I'm saying? And may be harmful. So, what they're saying is the low levels of RF energy a mobile phone device transmits is telling you it does have levels of RF energy in it, but they're just saying as low levels a mobile device transmits and receives are in the microwave frequency. So I guess they're saying it's not in the X-ray frequency or the gamma ray frequency. It's in the microwave frequency, and it's telling you exposure to low-level RF energy does not produce heating effects like the gamma rays and the X-rays, right? And it's not known to have adverse effects. Is it really not known, or it's just not being told? Right? It's not being told, or is it truly not known? See, again, that word right there is not known. It's another one of those forms of the ly words where if something does happen, they can kind of get away with it because they know how to use the wording. All right. So you need to pay attention to stuff like that. All right. So while in standby mode, mobile devices also emit RF energy even when your phone's in standby mode, all right, at substantially reduced time intervals. It says none. It didn't say that it doesn't have no intervals. It says it's just substantially, ly word again, substantially, ly, reduced time intervals. If you want to reduce exposure to RF energy, reduce the amount of time spent. So they're telling you that, what they're telling you without telling you, You really could be affected by this, but see the wording they put in there kind of makes you think one way. And then in the court systems, if you decide to sue and do this and that, they might get away with that in the courts. But on the other hand, they're telling you, well, if you want to reduce exposure, if they're trying to make it seem like the exposure is nothing by the way they word things, then why would they tell you on the other hand, if you want to reduce exposure to RF energy, reduce the amount of time spent using your mobile device. Use speaker mode, the speaker mode on your phone, right? Or a headset to place more distance between your head and the mobile device and increase the distance between mobile devices in your body. So they really telling you without telling you that, yo, you can be affected by this, but we don't really want you to know about it per se. And but we want you to know about it, but we want to kind of make light of it. So, fellas, when you put the phone between your legs for whatever reason, maybe you driving, you want to put it between your leg real quick. Yeah, it might affect your testicles. Okay. And ladies, you want to stick the phone in your shirt pocket or, between, stick it in your bra a little bit while you're driving or walking. You might be doing a little walking exercising and you thought, well, let me stick it on my bra. Or if sometimes people put the phone on a little, these holders that you can strap around your arm. Yeah, but it's close to your body. And like this is saying, if you want to reduce exposure to RF energy, reduce the amount of time spent. That's one. Using your mobile device, use a speaker so that you don't have to put the phone to your ear and directly on your and around your face. Reduce time spent. Use a speaker or a headset to place more distance between your head. So they letting you know you could be affected. This could affect your head. These radiation, these waves could affect your head. And the mobile device and increase the distance between mobile devices in your body. Some people put the phone right next to them when they go to sleep because they want to make sure they catch that call, that phone call, instead of kind of putting the phone away at a distance. And then if you hear the phone, you just have to get up, even if you don't want to get up. But how many people over the years now have been putting phones on their bodies, not realizing that this could have adverse effects on your body, adverse effects. And some people are, excuse me, some people are wondering why they're having certain issues, and they don't ever think to themselves that it might have something to do with the years of having phones near your body, right? They didn't even think about that. Quite interesting, right? So that is something to think about. Let's go on just a little bit more here. Let's see what else we can find real quick. All right. Hands-free function can be used for convenience and comfort, and it is legally required in many states if you want to use your device while driving. All right. Let me see. All handheld mobile devices must comply with FCC guidelines for exposure to RF energy. The FCC's guidelines were developed by expert scientists and engineers after extensive review of scientific literature relating to RF exposure. And those guidelines incorporate prudent margins of safety. So, on one hand, they are telling you, yeah, you could be affected by this, but they're trying to downplay it with the certain words. Well, it's not known to have that effect. But yeah, what about the knowns that you never hear about? And it could be, ain't no telling how many people might have the knowns that you're really not telling about. It could be thousands or millions of people that you might not even know about. So we wanted to bring this to your attention, ladies and gentlemen. We showed you how you can find it. And yeah, you might want to go ahead, even if you don't look for it, you hear it from us now, and you have some information on some things that maybe you want to consider. All right. You might want to consider keeping that phone away from you at distances as much as possible. Try not to ever put the phone right directly to your ear. You've heard probably people say this over the years, but we're just bringing it back up because we're reading it in 2025 so you guys can be aware of this. All right. If you have a little tripod or stand that can hold phones, you might want to sit that on a table or something and then maybe look at your phone. But try not to put it too much on and near your body. Even when you go to sleep, put it further away from you, put it on a dresser, and then, somebody calls, just get up and answer the phone. And when you do, put it on speaker so you don't have to have all these frequencies so close to your body because they are telling you in here, hey, keep it as further away as a distance as possible and limit the amount of time you use it. But a lot of people are not going to limit the time they use it, but you definitely want to keep it further away from your body. All right. You definitely want to place more distance between your head and the mobile device and increase the distance between your mobile device, cell phone, and your body. All right. We appreciate y'all. We thank y'all for checking us out as always. Be sure to go to pandemicnewsreport.com. Pandemicnewsreport.com. All right. Where you can get more pandemic related news like this and other information. All right. With that being said, this is the Pandemic News Report, and we out. Peace.
And now, here is your pandemic news report.